While I buried my 11-year-old son alone, my parents celebrated my sister's engagement at an elegant restaurant near the Nikitsky Gates. Then my mother wrote to me, "Stop dramatizing. Transfer 12 million to Regina to buy an apartment." They wanted to get the savings from Igor. Well, let's start. My name is Ksenia Dementieva. I'm 37 years old. I am a senior financial analyst at a large Moscow investment company, with a salary of 400,000 rubles per month before discounts and bonuses. I have a son, Igor, 11, who is in the 5th year, and a younger sister, Regina, 30. My parents are already over 60, are retired, but my father still consults and my mother teaches cutting and sewing. I always thought our family was united. When I was 6 years old and I separated from Maxim, everyone supported me. My mother was looking for my son at school when I was late preparing quarterly reports. Regina came on weekends, helped with mathematics, and took her Igor to the Moscow Aquarium. Maxim and I separated us friendly. He pays the pension up to date, seeks Igor every 2 weekends, and on Wednesdays after football. I always struggled to help financially. I transfer 150,000 rubles a month to my parents and help pay for their apartment mortgage in Stragino. To Regina, send 60,000 to rent a studio near the airport. When she decided to do a postgraduate degree in marketing at the Higher School of Economics, I paid the 2 years of course, 1.2 million rubles. After all, family is for that, isn't it? Regina dates David for 2 years. He is a 32-year-old serious executive in a multinational, and his wealthy British parents often travel to Moscow to business. My parents love David and like calling to Regina to discuss wedding preparations, especially after knowing that his family has an apartment in Belgravia, London. 3 months ago, Igor began to constantly tired. The boy who once ran around the house without stopping and played ball until he dusk, suddenly spent full days lying on the couch. Then appeared bruises that did not disappear for weeks. He lost his appetite completely, refusing to grandma's favorite pancakes. I took him to the pediatrician of the health post. Dr. Gadina, an experienced professional, worried on the spot. Ksenia Alexandrovna, we need a complete blood count. Urgent. The results arrived on Tuesday. I was in an investment committee presentation when my phone vibrated. It was Dr. Gadina. Come to the clinic today. It's about Igor's exams. Is it something serious? Come, please. Apologizing to his colleagues, I ran out of the office. The doctor's office, on the 3rd floor of an ancient clinic, with worn linoleum and hospital green painted walls, was waiting for me with an examination paste in his hands. Sit. The leukocytes of Igor are critically high. We need to discard leukemia. I already spoke to the Sender Rogashev. You will be attended tomorrow morning by Professor Talazin. Don't waste time. Leukemia. Blood cancer of my 11-year-old son. I searched for Igor at school, smiling and talking about a new Marvel movie. While inside, everything collapsed. At home, I sat in front of the computer with his favorite game and locked myself in the bathroom, crying as I had not been doing for years. At night, I called Maxim. He arrived in half an hour, pale and lost. We sat in the kitchen, had tea, and were silent. Then I called my parents. Mom, they suspect that Igor has leukemia. Tomorrow we go to Central Rogashev. Oh, Kasyusha, why do so much? Nowadays doctors invent each thing. It must be just an anemia. Mother, it's serious. Of course, honey. Look, your father and I'm going to Regina's house. David organized a dinner at Pushkin. His parents arrived. You solve it there and then tell us. Regina replied distracted, what a horror, Kasyusha. But medicine today, miracles. Ah, David is calling me. We're late. Keep me informed. The next day, the diagnosis was confirmed. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, aggressive form. Dr. Talazin, a low-eyed man, was straightforward. Wheat internal today. We started the treatment protocol immediately. There are chances, but time is short. Maxim squeezed my hand. We'll make it. Igor was hospitalized on the same day. 7th floor, double fourth. They put a catheter and started chemotherapy. I learned the names of the medicines by heart, although it still cannot comment them right. The Rogashev Center became my second home. Every night, after work, and on weekends, from start to end of the day, I read to Igor. We played board games or just stood by him when the nausea were so strong that he couldn't speak. Maxim came whenever I could. On weekdays and on Saturdays, I would take home for a few hours to bathe and sleep. Igor was strong, complained little, and thanked the nurses even when they needed to pierce their veins 10 times until it got it right. The roommates changed. Some were discharged. Others were transferred. We believed we would win. The response to treatment is positive, said Dr. Talazin, but we can't lower the guard. This kind of leukemia is treacherous. We established a routine, exams, Serums, consultations. We tried to maintain some normality. Professor Elena Viktorovna sent lessons. Class colleagues recorded support videos. The soccer coach promised a place on the team as soon as he was improved. My parents called once a week, asking superficially about Igor, but soon changed the subject for Regina's engagement preparations. The next visit of David's British relatives, or the choice of the restaurant for the party. We endured 12 weeks. Igor had crises, but fought. On the most difficult nights, Maxim and I turned around, like a team again, united for the love of the sun and hope. Until everything collapsed. It was Thursday, 9 a.m. I reviewed title portfolio reports when the Rogashev Center appeared on my cell phone screen. Ksenia Alexandrovna, here is the 7th floor chief nurse. You need to come urgently. What happened? Igor is okay? Come as soon as possible. Dr. Talazin is waiting. Those 20 minutes in traffic seemed eternity. I repeated myself, it must be just an infection, a complication. They have already called us other times. But when Dr. Talazin received me in his office, his face already said everything before he opened his mouth. Sit down, Ksenia Alexandrovna. The situation is critical. Igor's organism is no longer responding to treatment. A multiple organ failure began. I'm sorry, but medicine can do nothing anymore. It's a matter of hours. The words made no sense. But there must be something. An experimental treatment abroad. If there were, we would have tried. He replied, calling Maxim. Maxim arrived in half an hour. We entered the room together. Igor had the oxygen mask, but his eyes were open. He recognized us, tried to smile. We stayed with him to the end, reading his favorite football stories, remembering the trip to Karelia, where he swore he saw a Yeti. We held your hands. In the last few minutes, he whispered that he loved us and closed his eyes. Death time, 6:47 p.m. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just remained there, squeezing her already cold hand, unable to believe that my boy had left. Max assumed the responsibility of making the family calls. My mother said they were having dinner on sofa with David's parents and would call later. Regina sobbed on the phone and justified that she couldn't talk about that matter at that time. They had the presentation of the C agency askings the next day. The next morning we had to deal with the funeral preparations. I never imagined that I would have to choose a coffin for my own son. Max helped me in everything: the funeral agency, the documents, the necrological for the school's website. We agi in sync, as in the days when we were a family. The pain united us more than love had already united. He made all the calls because I crumbly after the first words. School, soccer team, parents of classmates, distant relatives. The day after Igor's death, my mother called Kasyushenka. My dear, accept our condolences. Your father and I are so shaken. The intonation was mechanical, like that of a receptionist announcing a leakage downstairs. Thank you. Mom. She paused, calculated, as if turning a page in a script now, about the practical affairs. I am afraid we cannot help with the organization. Saturday is Regina's engagement. We cannot miss. I looked out the window where the rain hit the glass like impatient fingers. Mom. Igor died yesterday, I know. My daughter. And it's terrible. But life continues. His voice was firm, as if explaining a delay in paying an account. Regina planned this for months. The restaurant is reserved. The confirmed guests. David's parents came especially from London for a week. We cannot postpone. You could reschedule. Impossible. My answer came out dry, like a breaking branch. Regina waited for this all her life. We cannot disappoint it because of she didn't finish the sentence, but I didn't need to. I hung up without saying goodbye. I had no strength to argue. My son had died, and I had to bury him. Friday was gray and damp, one that seems to suck the light of the world. Max searched me in the morning. I didn't trust myself behind the wheel. The funeral hall in Troyekurovskoye was packed. The parents of Max and his brother, coming from St. Petersburg, my aunts in Moscow, cousins, even the teachers of Igor, who brought their classmates. So many faces who loved our boy. Max's mother hugged me. See how many people came to say goodbye. I looked through the hall and noticed the absences. Neither my parents nor Regina. During the ceremony, Aunt Nadia approached Casey. Where are yours? I don't know. They said they might not take time. Her face darkened. What do you mean they didn't give time? They are burying the grandson. Aunt Nadia. Please call them. I can't now. She went out to the courtyard with her cell phone. Through the glass, I saw its expression change, first in belief, then shock, then a fury that seemed to burn inside. He came back and pulled me close to the window. Ksenia. I just talked to her mother. His voice trembled with anger contained. Do you know where they were in the engagement of Regina? At Novi Arbat's restaurant, celebrating, while we bury Igor here. Your mother said they could not postpone. David's parents fly tomorrow. I've never seen such a thing in life. What she told me, I looked at the all again. All those people, teachers from Igor, parents of their friends, my family, the Max, all there, except my parents and my sister. I won't do a scene. I whispered to Aunt Nadia, you are a saint. I would have gone there and dragged them by the hair here. Despite everything, the farewell was worthy. Professor Yelena Viktorovna told how Igor helped colleagues with mathematics. The coach remembered his stubbornness in training, always the last to leave the field. Max and I talked about our amazing son, about the light he brought to our lives. But I didn't take my eyes off the door. Waiting, maybe they realize. Perhaps Regina understood where she should be. They didn't come. After the cemetery, everyone gathered at my house. Max's family took care of everything, ensuring that I eat something. My Kachai aunts plot in the kitchen without hiding indignation. They preferred an engagement to the grandson's funerals. What kind of people are the Uncle Valadi did not contain himself, are they people? Or what? After Ali didn't recognize them either. When everyone left, the house was empty. A deafening silence, sharp. No video game sound. No upstairs step. No mother helps me with algebra. Only the emptiness. I made coffee and sat in the kitchen. The phone kept vibrating with condolence messages, colleagues, friends, distant relatives. I didn't look. Then a message from my mother came. Stop dramatizing. It is better to transfer the 12 million from Regina's apartment. Relic 3 times until you understand. They were talking about Igor's savings account. When he was born, Max and I opened an application on his behalf to college for the entrance of a property. In 11 years, we have gathered 12 million. Both grandparents knew about this account. I stared at the screen for a long time. They did not come to the grandson's funeral, but celebrated an engagement. And now, without shame, they charged the money of the dead son. On the day I buried I remembered everything. The 150,000 per month for my parents' mortgage, the 60,000 of Regina's rent, the 1.2 million of her graduate degree. Here's helping without thinking, without expecting gratitude. Just a minimum of humanity when I needed. And when I needed it when my son died. When I buried him, they weren't there. But to ask for money. They were fast. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened the bank's app, found the automatic payments I had for years. On the first day of the month, 150,000 for my parents. On the day 15, 60,000 for Regina. Canceled. Both. I took prints from the confirmations and sent in the family group without one word. Just the images. I hung up the phone and went asleep. In the morning, 47 lost calls, dozens of messages. First, I made coffee. The flood started around 11 p.m., half an hour after the prints. Ksenia, what does that mean? Why did you cancel transfers? Daughter, you can't do this to us. How are we going to pay the mortgage? Regina, is this a joke? How am I going to pay the rent without your help? Then came the disgust. You are a cruel selfish. Typical your style. Kesidu. There is a problem and wants everyone to suffer. Call right now. We need to talk. I didn't answer anyone. I took a week of license on morning. In the morning, I started organizing Igor's room, which would donate to an orphanage, what would keep, your uniform, your books, your assembled toys someone could wear. At noon, a noise on the door. From the magical eye, I saw my parents, my mother with some papers in hand. I knew it wouldn't be able to avoid. How could you, asterisk? My mother entered as a hurricane, leave us without money. We depend on this exclamation. My father squeezed behind her, the red face of indignation. This is unacceptable. Ksenia, this is not how we created it. You didn't come to Igor's funeral. Said softly, of course we are sad. My father pushed his hand away as if he was on the fly, but life continues. People die. He spoke as if he was explaining an obvious fact to a child. Ksenia, you can't punish the living because you're in mourning. You were in Regina's engagement during the funeral. Regina's happiness is also important. My mother raised her voice. She only marries it once in her life. David's parents came from London. We could not disappoint them. And you could have delayed. Igor was your grandson. And Regina is our daughter. She fired. She's alive. She'll get married. It has a lifetime ahead. We cannot abandon everything for someone who has gone. I looked at my father, incredulously. He sustained my gaze. Impassive. Igor was sick. We knew how it could end. But the engagement of Regina is a celebration of life, of new beginnings. I couldn't believe what I heard. Get out of my house. They looked at each other shocked. Kesesh, don't be silly. My mother has changed tone, now almost pleading. We need to reach an agreement. This money is essential to us. Get out. I will never forgive you for not coming to say goodbye to Igor and then dare to ask for his money. We didn't ask for anything. My father was exalted. We only suggest, logically, that Igor's money was not necessary for studies, could help Regina with the rent. My voice cut the air like a blade. reminding them the words they exchanged on my son's funeral day. His face is paled. We didn't want to say that, my mother stammered, her trembling hands looking for an excuse that didn't exist. We were only practical. My father shot. As if logic could justify cruelty, get out. The order had come out between teeth, every syllable laden with hatred that I didn't even know I was able to feel. Or I swear I dragged them down the stairs. They retreated, but they still stayed for 10 minutes at the door of the building, murmuring how I was out of me, how pain had blinded me. Half an hour later, the phone rang. I already knew who it was. Did you lose your head? Regina's scream burst in my ear, without even a hello. How dare you get me out of rent? Without you, I can't afford this house. You didn't come to the burial of Igor. I was at my wedding. Her voice climbed to hysterical tone. I planned for months. David's parents came from another country. Yes, it's a pity that he died. But I can't stop my life because of it! Exclamation. He was his nephew, so what? The despair in his voice has become poison. You envy, Kasusha. Envy because I have youth, happiness, a future. You have lost your son. It was alone. And now you want to destroy my life! Exclamation. I hung up. I blocked your number. I blocked my parents' numbers. For the next 2 weeks, they tried everything. They appeared in my office. Security was warned not to let them get in. Sent emails I deleted without reading. Even used distant relatives as intermediaries. Aunt Nadia called, pleading, maybe you can talk, but I had already ended with them. My true family hugged me. They were shocked by what my parents and Regina did. Many boycotted her marriage. What they did is beyond any limit, said Aunt Lena. Ignore the grandson's funeral for a party and still demand money? This had no forgiveness. She was right. Real family is not just blood. True family is there when you bury a child. Don't ask for money from the inheritance of a dead child. Do not wrinkle your nose for your pain. 6 months have passed since Igor left. The first were hell. I went back to work, but everything had changed. The colleagues looked at me with pity. The woman who lost her son, the woman abandoned by her family at the darker time. But they didn't let me sink. Aunt Lena called every week. Cousins called me to dinners and made it clear my parents were not welcome. I heard from Marina, my cousin, that Regina's marriage was pathetic. Most of the family was not. Even on the side of Davidson gave up after hearing the story. In the end, some 20 guests, all embarrassed. Regina asked where the others were. According to Marina, my mother tried to justify people had commitments. Everyone understood. Everyone knew. When I heard this, I felt a bitter but especially empty satisfaction. My family had broken down. My son had died. At 37, I started from scratch. The only light in this chaos was Max. We spent more time together, not as a couple, but as two castaways clinging to the same wreckage. We went to the cemetery. We talked about Igor, how we missed him. I remember that camp in Balia, said Max once, flipping through a photo album. He swore he had seen an elf. He spent weeks drawing such a being. Laughs by the first instead in months. A true laugh. Max wanted to go back there with the cameras, prove it to everyone. 3 months ago he asked if he could move back. Not as a husband, he said, just to face this together. Now we understand each other like anyone else. And I was right. The presence of someone who missed Igor as much as I made silence less deafening. He cooked. I washed the clothes. A quiet routine without romance. This is healthy, said my therapist, Sokolova. You are processing the same loss. Mutual understanding can heal. You are not running away from pain. They speak of Igor. Support. Go ahead. Yes, so we were not hiding. We were heating. Last week, Max mentioned the possibility of another child. Not now, he rushed to say, seeing my expression. Only maybe one day. Igor will always be our firstborn. But who knows, a little brother, a little sister. I don't know if I will be able. I confessed. What if anything happens again? We don't have to decide now. I just wanted you to know if one day you want. I want to. I'm not ready to think about another child. Maybe never. But the fact that Max said that means that he sees a future where we can be happy again. The work became my anchor. Last month, I was promoted to senior analyst, in part because I threw myself on the projects. Just not to think. I still have bad days. When I see an Igor's age boy in the supermarket, I drop the cart and run. When I find him a drawing between the pages of a book, I cry for hours. When anger against God, against the universe, against this damn injustice consumes me. But now I also have good days. Days I can remember Igor and smile instead of crying. Days when Max and I talked about him without chattering. Days when I feel that perhaps it can build something new from the rebel. In the last 6 months, my parents and Regina have tried contact a few times. They sent a card on Igor's birthday. He would do 12 before the new year. They appeared in my office again. Regina wrote an apology. I deleted without finishing reading. The card. I threw it in the trash. Security received orders to call the police if they return. Some say I'm cruel. A colleague hinted that I should forgive. But I'm not interested in forgiveness. Maybe one day, but not now. They had a chance to be my family when I needed it most. They chose Regina's wedding party. Now I have a new family. Max, aunts and uncles that hugged me, friends who did not disappear, my therapist, even the teachers of Igor still call, still visit. This family is smaller, but it is real. Igor would be 12 years old today. It would probably be in the 6th year, complaining about algebra, asking to go to extra training. I will never stop missing you, but I will learn to live with this pain without letting it destroy what is left. Max and I are not officially together, but we talked about it. No hurry. The important thing is to heal for the right reasons, not cling to each other for despair. Maybe one day we'll be happy again. Max said yesterday as we watched a movie that I would hate. Maybe. I agreed. I don't know what the future reserves. Will I keep Max for real? Will I want another child? Can I forgive my parents and Regina? But I know one thing. I'm stronger than I imagined. I can lose everything and rebuild. And I know that sometimes the family we choose is more important than the one we were born.